And at 10, the puppet, FNAF VR. I said that the puppet from FNAF VR was one of the scariest jump scares, but only because of the way the puppet walks, okay? It's honestly terrifying, at least that part. But aside from that, the actual jump scare itself isn't all that scary. The puppet just shakes his head across the screen, or I guess your eyes. The puppet is probably the least scary animatronic. It just has a couple lines down its face, okay? The scarier ones like the nightmare animatronics have some substance behind them, and that's pretty scary. The teeth are one of those things. However, the only thing scary about the puppet jump scare is the audio. The jump scare is only effective because of the audio, if it ends up being effective at all. Especially if you know it's coming, okay? Because you can like see the puppet walking down, and if you see the puppet... In a 9, Springtrap, FNAF 3. Springtrap isn't a scary character. Sure, the story behind him is scary and it's a very unsettling story, but the actual jump scare isn't much to be feared. While the rest of the jump scares from FNAF 3, particularly the Phantom animatronics, can be scary unless you know what to look for, the Springtrap animation is really just simple, and honestly, it doesn't really look like he's coming to kill you. In fact, it looks so unintimidating I saw theories going around that Springtrap was trying to help you because of how he approaches you in FNAF 3. Just does that thing, okay? Again, just the audio. He moves his head a little bit, but that's why I never put him on any of the scariest animatronics list until Amanda took over and then totally went against everything I stood for. He's not an animatronic, okay? So you're saying he was living in the wall for 30 years? I'm sorry, in a series full of dead children possessing animatronics through the use of agony and intense emotion, you think that's far-fetched? Matpat himself said the Springtrap doesn't die. The thing about this jump scare is that I'm sure will make you jump at least a little bit thanks to the sound effect, but the sound effect is the one used for every other jump scare in the game. The Phantoms and Springtrap make the same noise, which could be used as theory fodder if you're really looking for something. Matpat, I'm looking at you. But no matter what you say, I've never been scared by Springtrap, okay? The jump scare hasn't gotten me. I'm just like, oh, okay, it's Springtrap. And at 8, Foxy, FNAF 1. The Foxy jump scare from the first FNAF game may catch you off guard, but it won't really jump scare you, similar to the Springtrap case. The animation of Foxy just popping in and waving actually sparks theories that Foxy was trying to help you, and even a couple creepypastas that use that same premise. Actually, if you didn't know, yes, there are 5 Nights at Freddy's creepypastas, okay? We've made videos about them. They don't make sense, but you should go check it out. In fact, the first one made it onto r/FNAF cringe, and in fact, it's one of my prouder moments. And if you want a whole FNAF playlist, you can go check it out right in the top right corner. Top left? It depends. My right, your left. We have like nearly 80 FNAF videos, so you won't be lacking any content, that's for sure. We've legit made more FNAF videos than Game Theory, so you'll be set for FNAF for a little bit, at the very least. It's like 12 hours of FNAF content, okay, so go check it out. But as for Foxy, he's literally the least intimidating out of the original 5 animatronics. Like, even Golden Freddy is more intimidating, and he slouches more than me when I play games. Sorry, but it's true. I know all you Foxy stands are gonna come for him, but he ain't scary. Okay, Grim Foxy is scary, but he isn't. And at 7, Lights Out, FNAF 1. I said earlier that some of the worst jump scares are when you know that they're coming, because you can prepare yourself, especially when the screen gets dark beforehand. That's why Freddy from FNAF 1, when your power goes out, is on this list. Okay? When you hit 0% power, the only thing you can really do is just hope that you were close enough to 6 AM to get the win. This managed to happen to me on the first ever FNAF gameplay video we did on the channel, but it was in FNAF VR. I'll let you in on a little secret, okay? I had my eyes closed the whole time when the screen went black because I knew it was coming. Okay, however, as I just said, I knew the jump scare was coming, even if I am just a little bit. As soon as the screen goes black, the jump scare can pop up at any second. Sure, there's some variation and you may need to be waiting for a little bit, but you still know that it's coming and you can close the game before it happens. There isn't any fear associated with that. I know I was scared, so I closed my eyes, but that's just because of the anticipation. And I'm a little crybaby when it comes to VR horror, okay? It's not fun. Notice why I haven't played the game since then? Oh wait, actually at this point, we did have another FNAF video come out before this one, didn't we? Oh well, there goes that point. Either way, Freddy isn't scary when you know he's coming. And at 6, Night Terror Door, FNAF VR. The Night Terror mini-games from FNAF VR is basically the game including FNAF 4, but not making it as annoying as FNAF 4 would actually be in VR. Since you need to run across the room, and doing so wouldn't be as fast in VR as in the actual game, but the whole game revolves around one of the animatronics being one of the sides of the room, you know, because you can't like go back and forth, and you know, you get what I mean. But honestly, I've never seen a kid's room have 2 doors unless it was like a mansion or some crap. Like honestly, who would let their kid have the room with 2 doors? I don't know. I get excited when I see a bathroom with 2 doors. It's annoying, but it's cool. However, the real jump scare comes if you are on the side of the animatronic. If you're not, you can actually see them walk in through the door. The other one that you're not holding closed, that one. Well, this is pretty spooky considering how the light starts flickering and the way they enter is kind of weird. But after that, you know that you're done for. You can't open the door and run, even though you should be able to. You can't, okay? You just have to stand there, wait for your eventual demise. And you know you're gonna get jump scared. Aside from the initial surprise of them walking in, nothing after that is exceptionally scary. I mean, it's cool to see them walk in. Honestly, I find it really cool, but after that, it's all just the same thing in a different way. It's gotten old at this point. I can feel the hate radiating from the comments section. It's like a fire burning beneath my feet. Or maybe it's just that my apartment's 30 degrees. Halfway through at number 5, Special Delivery. This one is fairly plain and simple. Special Delivery only jump scares you on your phone. Sure, it's still a jump scare, but it's on such a small screen that it doesn't really make a dent in my sanity. And you also have to watch them walk towards you the whole time. At least, I think. I haven't really played the game. Mostly because my apartment is a mess and I don't want to showcase that in a video, but you know, it's a long story. The animatronics are so tiny that it's fine. The concept of scale is really important when it comes to horror games. That's why a lot of bosses we fight are so huge. It's to make our character feel way outmatched. It's why your original height in FNAF VR makes you so tiny. Oh, I always adjust my height, otherwise I get kinda sick because like, you know, scale and stuff. But when I set myself to a normal height, the fear goes away because, well, I'm roughly at the same height as the animatronics. Sure, they're still taller, but it's not like they could hide me in their stomach. They'd have to use at least all of their torso, okay? And that's more comforting, which is weird, but also makes sense. How is this my job? And 4 minigames, FNAF 2. The minigames in FNAF 2 always end in a jump scare. The first time it can be scary if you don't know about them, but any time after that you know it's there. As soon as the purple guy starts pulling away, you know that the puppet will jump scare you. And as soon as you give life to the final animatronic, you know that Golden Freddy's gonna pop up and go boo. Okay, it's fairly routine at this point, and we know that it's coming. So it's not really a scare anymore. It's just a minor inconvenience that ends the minigame and throws us back into the hell that is trying to deal with FNAF 2. It's not that it's a bad game. There's just a lot going on and it's fairly complicated. And at 3, Corn Maze Foxy. Okay, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The scariest part of the corn maze is the damn crow clusters on the ground that will scare the hell out of you and alert Foxy as to where you are when you step on them in the corn maze minigame from FNAF VR's DLC, The Curse of Dreadbear. Honestly, I've seen a lot of YouTubers and streamers get used to the Foxy jump scare after a few times, like matpat, who just started finding it as annoying as he was trying to get all the keys in the live streams. But now you may be saying, but Connor, you were scared when you were playing it in the last FNAF gameplay video. He ran through the fence, okay? He shouldn't have been able to do that. I should have had at least a couple seconds. But I hadn't played that game in months, okay? I stopped being used to the fear of existential dread. And however, by the end of it, I was fairly used to things again. So like, you know, the challenge got fairly easy. Well, I mean, not really, because like I kind of lost and gave up. But, you know, unless he cheats and just pretends not to notice you or again runs through the frickin' fence, okay? Stop using game bugs to your advantage, Foxy. It's a real move. And at 2, Ultimate Custom Night. Okay, I know Ultimate Custom Night is some people's favorite FNAF game, and some of the jump scares are good, like Fredbear for example. However, most of the jump scares, like Nightmare Balloon Boy and such, are just static images that shake around the screen. Sure, the noise is scary, but when it's accompanied by a shaking image, I don't really start to shake in my boots. A static image can be creepy, but even shaking, they won't really scare me, even if the image itself is scary. It's an opinion shared by a lot of people from what I can tell on subreddit threads discussing users' favorite and least favorite jump scares. Some people love Ultimate Custom Night and the scares, which is fine, and a couple of them are good. But with a game that has so many characters, it's easy to understand why it would be difficult to animate every single jump scare well. But still, not that scary. I say that, but I'm not playing it. Finally, in number 1, expected scares. I've been saying it throughout the whole list, but jump scares you expect aren't scary. For example, I was playing the Foxy Pirate Ride game when I went into the backroom helpy section where Chica was standing on the track, and you need to hit a target to make her go back inside. However, I missed the target and watched as Chica was walking towards me before I got jump scared. Now, I hadn't been scared by Jacko Chica yet, so it was scary that time, but now if it ever happens again, it's not gonna scare me because, well, you literally watch her walk towards you. and the screen goes black for a split second before actually scaring you. If you expect it, it's not scary. Half of what makes us afraid is the unknown. It's what we don't know that scares us. Like, for example, if I don't know you and you come running up to me at night, I'm gonna run the hell away because someone is charging at me at night with a knife. Well, I don't know, but you probably have a knife. It's the unknown that scares us. It's why I hate the plush trap jump scare from the box, okay? Because you don't see it coming. Also, in that FNAF gameplay video, that actually jumps, like I did get the plush trap jump scare from the box, but my audio was so terrible because like everything had screwed up at that point that I couldn't use that clip. I wanted to include it in the video because like of course it happened, right? But I couldn't because the audio was god awful. It sounded like there were 12 of me and they all had like variations of just how like the voice was messed up, okay? Just, yeah, I'm mad about it. And it's Foxy. The FNAF VR Parts and Service minigame series takes you through repairing each of the original 4 animatronics. Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, Foxy, in that order to be exact. And when it comes to the jump scares, most of them are unexpected, since it just cuts to black and then boom! But with Foxy, they tried something different. Since he's the last one, they mixed it up. And if you fail, the screen fades to black and then comes back with Foxy missing from his spot. You wait for a few seconds and then Foxy runs at you. But they ruined this moment of confusion by having Foxy run at you. If you look any of the 4 directions, you'll see him running too. So it's not like if you turn around to look for him, you won't be able to see him. And like I've been saying, anything that you can expect loses its effect. It may get you the first time, but once you know the pattern, you're good. Like Pixels. You remember that great movie? You just gotta know the patterns. That's why I'm not scared to do the Foxy Parts and Service, but to get there I have to do the scary stuff, and I don't want to do that. I'm man enough to admit when I'm scared. And then 9, Bitty Bats. The Bitty Bats from Sister Location are like baby's little siblings. I can't say kids because, well, she's possessed by a kid so it feels weird, but they're basically mini versions of her, except without any red cheeks or hair. And you wanna know one thing that I don't find scary? Babies. Babies aren't scary. I mean, sure, they'll bite your face off like an adult in a bath salt-filled rage. They aren't actually that scary. Same goes for the animatronics. Sure, they may get you the first time, but every other time, they just seem kinda cute. I don't know, something about chubby babies that I'm not gonna have to buy anything for are just, they're so cute. But like, if I have to pay for them because they're mine, then suddenly they become less cute. I hardly have enough money for myself. And yes, I'm calling out all the parents right now who have babies, okay? Unless you pay me, in which case you're doing great, you're wonderful parents. Please don't fire me, Liam. Or Landon. And it ain't an open door. FNAF VR doesn't feature a full FNAF 4 game. However, the Dark Room section does feature a couple levels in the FNAF 4 house. These levels have a special scene that plays when one of the animatronics gets into your room on the opposite side that you're on, where instead of instantly scaring you, they actually open the door and walk in. Now, don't get me wrong, the animatronics when they enter your room are horrific. They're towering over you and there is no way to stop them once they come in. But after the initial horror is over and you've watched them walk in, the jump scare isn't that bad, because at that point you expect it. You know what's gonna happen. It's certainly a shock when you first see them, but once your brain has processed it, you're okay. Even if it's Nightmare Fredbear, and that says a lot. Night Terrors. It's called Night Terrors. That's the one. Not Dark Rooms, Night Terrors. There we go. And it's 7 Gendo. What's scarier? An animatronic with a scary visual design, or an endoskeleton that has nothing else going on? Most of you are probably going to say a full animatronic, unless you're intentionally saying what you think will contradict my point. But Yendo is simply a naked Funtime Freddy. Some think that it's golden Funtime Freddy, but let's be honest here. For the purposes of a jump scare, they're just naked Funtime Freddy. And the Funtime Freddy jump scare is scary because his face can open. The opening of one's face is not natural and is therefore creepy. But this guy isn't opening his face. He can't. It's basically already open. And it's not like it's flesh and blood. It's metal robotic parts. Plus, you can get this jump scare when you're expecting Funtime Foxy, so the confusion will have to overtake the fear. It definitely will. Quickly, in fact. Plus, I just don't find Yendo or Endo scary. I don't. They don't do anything. And it's 6, Special Delivery. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The jump scares in Special Delivery aren't scary. The designs of the animatronics are, and if they were real, I'd be crapping myself on a regular basis, especially the final two in the top 10 scariest Special Delivery animatronics video. You should go check that out if you haven't already. But the actual jump scares themselves aren't scary.
Why do I think that, you ask? Well, because they're on my phone screen. They're small and you're watching them come at you, at least for the most part. Like, the animatronics are normally scary because they have power over you, and on a phone you don't really feel that same sense of powerlessness because, well, you can see that they aren't actually there. You can only see them on a small screen, and your focus can cut from that screen at any moment. You can say the same about the other games, sure, but when it's a monitor that you're actively looking around on, you tend not to get distracted because it's not like they're actually there. The same thing applies to the jump scares on mobile versions, but again, the whole point of FNAF AR is that they're in your house, but they aren't, and you can clearly see that, thus losing the immersion and thus the scare factor. If FNAF AR gets a VR port, though, it will definitely be a different story. That would be cool, but it would require Oculus and other VR headset companies to not have black and white only cameras on the headset, because like they just use those to track your movement. But if they had like color cameras that were actually decent quality, it would be expensive, but holy crap, would that be insane. Halfway through into number 5, Ennard. Ennard is a creepy animatronic, but one thing that is certainly creepy but not scary is the jump scare from the Ennard vent repair when you think that you've defeated him but he's actually still alive. Now, don't get me wrong, that is terrifying the first time, but after you know that it's coming, it then loses its effect, even in blacklight mode, unless you've forgotten about it through the intensity that is the puzzles, which is understandable, but when you get to remember it, it doesn't get you nearly as much as the first time. And whereas jump scares when you're playing the main game can get you every time, since you never really know when they're coming, set jump scares like this in a story sense don't really have the same effect, which is unfortunate. It's just how humans work, though. Most of the actual scary part of the thing we call being scared is the fear of the unknown. Every human has it. That's why if we see shadows that we don't know the origins of, we get nervous, or if something random is on the road in the middle of the night that we can't see, we get scared. It's just human nature. It's why we're looking for answers to the universe, but not searching our oceans for some reason. And 4, Freddy. The only way I've lost in FNAF 1 is because I've run out of power. I like to play cautiously. It's like the opposite of I like to live dangerously. Just caution. Caution! However, the characters never jump scare me without me running out of power, and that makes things incredibly predictable. So when I hear the March of the Toreador start playing, I know it's coming. It's not really scary when you run out of power because there's so much build-up. It's again, expected, and that ruins the scare. Just like how if you know when the jump scare in a movie is gonna happen, they don't scare you. It may startle you, but nothing more. It's the same thing here. In VR though, it's a different story. And at 3, Mini-Rena. Oh no, a little doll jumped onto my face. Whatever am I going to do? Take it off. That's it. The jump scare doesn't even end your game. It's just slightly inconveniences you. Honestly, it may even help you if you're playing the Sister Location VR fan recreation that Eddie VR has been playing on his channel. It got to a point where he actually holds onto the Mini-Rena to help make himself feel better, especially when Baby is coming in for a jump scare. He's gotten so used to it that even when stressed, it doesn't really seem to affect him. That's desensitization right there. Plus, the Mini-Renas aren't scary, only if they want to climb inside you. Not a euphemism, that literally happens in a Fazbear Frights book. Maybe that's why they're on your face. They want you to swallow them. And like, I'm not here to kink shame, but that's kinda sus. But ultimately, in at number 2, Red Freddy. There is one mysterious jump scare from FNAF VR that confused the masses when first found. And a lot of you might not know this, it depends on how plugged you are into the FNAF VR world. A version of what seemingly is Freddy, where you can only see a glowing red outline of his nose and teeth. Or eyes, I'm not sure. It's weird and we don't understand why it's there, but out of all the jump scares on this level, it might be the least scary. You can find this in the Pizza Party minigame of FNAF VR, the last level that you unlock after finishing all the other minigames, but it's still not scary. You can't really see anything but red outlines, and you're just left confused. And sometimes feeling a little dirty, but that's okay. We love you anyway, you crazy freak, you. Don't worry, I'm clinically insane as well, so we're in this together. Finally, in at number 1, Foxy. There's a reason everybody thought that Foxy was a good guy, because his jump scare isn't really a jump scare, at least in FNAF 1. The scariest thing about it is the noise. Other than that, this guy just kind of leans into the doorway and then the game goes back to the menu. It's pretty lame if I'm honest, but at least it gave us some variety. But this scare is so not scary that people legit thought Foxy was a good guy. That's almost as bad as being so bad that Scott had to make another game to scare you, like Springtrap in the last list. That's why this is number 1, but it also is just kind of boring. This scare is vanilla. It's basic. It's the white girl with her pumpkin spice and Ugg boots in the fall taking pictures in a pile of leaves with hashtag blessed as the caption basic. Yeah, that's right, I'm calling you out. You are as basic as the Foxy jump scare, if that's you. You're welcome. Foxy's been on this list so many times. Why is Foxy just not scary? I don't get it.
And at 10, FNAF 3 Springtrap. It's pretty universally known that FNAF 3 is one of the easier FNAF games. With only one animatronic that can actually kill you, you can juggle him between a couple rooms for basically the whole night. You're able to survive fairly easily. But while some consider this game scary, overall it's one of the least scary of all, and that's thanks to Springtrap. Springtrap's jump scare in this game is actually the worst jump scare in the series, having the only real scare factor being the sound that plays along with it. But as for the actual model, he just kinda moves towards you a little bit, and that's it. There was also apparently an interview where Scott said that he was going to end the series after game 3, but the community's disappointment with the Springtrap jump scare caused him to make the 4th game with the Nightmare animatronics. I'm unable to find that interview, but that also makes sense to me. Like, the Nightmare animatronics were sort of overcorrecting for the lack of scares in FNAF 3, since you could also easily predict the phantom jump scares. So, I can see it. And at 9, Sister Location. While William wasn't really in Sister Location as one of the enemies, because, you know, all those fused into Ennard, he was still in it during the final cutscene, where Michael is giving his final speech, saying, "Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all here. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you. And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to. She's free now, but something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in the shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you." After that final line, Springtrap jumps out from behind the ruins of Fazbear's Fright, which burnt down at the end of FNAF 3. This is less of a jump scare, more of a way to show that Springtrap and by proxy William are still alive. However, it's still scarier than the normal Springtrap jump scare if you weren't ready for it or knew that it was coming. So. And at 8, Scrap Trap. See, this one is a bit of a weird one because, well, like, you can decide if it's possible or not. Since you don't really have to salvage an animatronic, you can just leave it for scrap and not keep it inside the building, thus allowing yourself not to have to stress over a psychotic killer rabbit, which is my personal recommendation. However, if you make the fool's decision and trap Scrap Trap, you have the possibility of being jump scared, which usually would only happen when you're not focused on protecting yourself. So, mostly when you're worried about your pizzeria or completing the tasks you need to do in order to leave and to complete the day. But this one is more unexpected, and Scrap Trap is certainly freakier than Springtrap is. And this jump scare is actually more like a jump scare than the Springtrap one, so needless to say, it deserves to be higher. Well, higher than those. However, there are scarier jump scares despite this. And at 7, VR Springtrap. FNAF VR may be one of the more recent games in the series, but it certainly is one of the freakiest. VR horror is such an experience, okay? But combine that with the story of Five Nights at Freddy's and you get one hell of a game. And while Springtrap's jump scare in normal FNAF 3 may not be scary, having to deal with this guy up close and personal and literally towering above you will have you changing your attitude and your pants on a regular basis. Since this time, when jump scaring you, he pops up from the bottom of your screen and just shaking his face at you as much as humanly possible before he actually causes you to lose the game. Speaking of which, I lost the game. I personally believe that all the jump scares are scarier in FNAF VR, not to mention how everything is scarier when it's towering over you, because in that case it appears to have more power and be more powerful, and let's be honest, Springtrap's design kinda needs that to be scary. I don't know, I don't think that the actual character is scary, but his story is certainly scary, but not really him. It's confusing. And at 6, Glamrock Freddy. During Security Breach's final boss fight, Freddy is hacked by Burntrap and will stand in the center of the room as a hazard. If Burntrap ends up successfully hacking him, he will kill Gregory, either by chasing him down or by pulling Gregory out of his stomach if the player had entered beforehand. Gregory can still lure Freddy away by calling him over to different spots though. And since his eyes turn purple after William possesses him or hacks him or whatever, okay, possessed Glamrock Freddy is a version of Afton, so it's good enough for me. This is mostly scary because from what I've seen, people are often confused as to why Freddy is suddenly running at them and don't know enough about the series to hide from anything purple. So they get jump scared, flip out, and then realize that Afton got to him. So yeah, the fact that we can trust Freddy this whole game is kind of what makes this jump scare so brutal, but it's still not the worst one out there. Halfway through in at number 5, Vanny.
Vanny is a follower of the digital virus Glitchtrap, a form of the serial killer William Afton, and appears as the main antagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. It's revealed in the Princess Quest minigames that she was also the main protagonist of FNAF Help Wanted, where she was first corrupted by the sentient code being thing. So technically, since Vanny is the part of Vanessa that is controlled by William, this makes her jump scare a William Afton jump scare. Vanny is shown to have a sadistic personality hidden behind a childlike flamboyance. This is shown through her casually and gleefully skipping after Gregory as he runs from her before running with arms outstretched if she gets too close. She also happily orders the staff bots to disassemble Glamrock Freddy in the phaser blast ending, and constantly laughs as she's going to kill Gregory. If she ever does catch Gregory though, which can happen unexpectedly at times, especially at certain points throughout the story, it can give you quite the fright. It's better than her trailer jump scare, since in that first trailer we couldn't really see anything, but not the scariest thing in the world. Mostly because you can see it coming for the most part, but there are a good few moments with her. Like when timers run out and stuff and she jump scares you. Those are good. But like the CRT effect kind of lets you know when she's coming. In at 4, Desk Scrap Trap. Salvaging is a major method first used in FNAF Pizzeria Simulator. It is an optional section that occurs on each of the 4 nights starting on Monday after the management phase. As Henry says during each salvage, each animatronic was found in the back alley. After he explains what options are open to the player, they can either proceed with the salvage or throw it back into the alley. If the player decides to salvage the animatronic, the salvaging section begins immediately. This process is simple. Henry will play 1 out of 5 audio prompts through the tape, and the player must check on the responses on the form itself based on whether or not the animatronic actually responded to the stimuli, when in reality they're just reacting to you not looking at them. This sequence, should you look away for too long or at the wrong time, will result in a jump scare, but the desk jump scares, in my personal opinion, are pretty damn freaky, especially Scrap Traps, because like this clearly isn't his first rodeo, but like just man, I don't know what it is about someone coming over a desk to kill me. I just don't like it. Getting close to the end, in at number 3, The Curse. The Curse is an Aztec-themed skin for the Springtrap animatronic and was released on March 5th in the Ancient Equinox event, and is the 4th skin for Springtrap in FNAF AR. The Curse is a teal-colored Springtrap dressed to look like an ancient Aztec warrior, and he has a large feathered crown and a golden chest piece. His hands are colored orange with sharp black claws, and one of them holds like a large golden shield. Finally, he is also decorated on the head with like 2 large feathers, which is kind of weird, but I dig it. This guy looks like he's actually decaying as well, which is certainly a better spin on things since decaying bodies aren't purple, even though the series seems to try and push that idea. Bruises are purple, okay? Decay is more commonly depicted as green, or at least in other media. In real life it's not. Much how like Springtrap's suit in his curse form is dark green. This also could be a subtle reference to the fact that Afton is a curse on these games, being unable to ever get rid of him in any meaningful way, or maybe it's just about Glitchtrap and the Curse of Dreadbow DLC. Who knows? I do. I know. He is a curse on this series and my life and needs to die permanently, okay? Not to mention that just in general, Springtrap looks creepier in FNAF AR than FNAF 3 or FNAF VR, okay? Check out the wiki and then look at his pictures, okay? The FNAF VR and then FNAF AR. FNAF AR is horrifying. Penultimately, in at number 2, Flaming Springtrap. Flaming Springtrap was added during the Sizzling Summer event for FNAF AR and was understandably the final skin to be added in that update. Being Springtrap's second skin behind Toxic Springtrap, we weren't quite sure what to expect. But like, have you ever wondered what Springtrap looked like during the fire in FNAF 3? Or wondered what it was like in my old apartment? This is what it would feel like. This also answers the original question because he is definitely the kind of person to absorb all the flames and then use them to his advantage. Flaming Springtrap is a coal-colored Springtrap with dark orange highlights, and he is glowing orange from his endoskeleton since it's so hot, because you know he's flaming. He has flames spouting out of every open area possible, and you know what, honestly, who is ready for the 1000 degree endoskeleton challenge? Cause I am. His hands and feet are on fire the most, and for some reason he has no upper teeth. This is horrifying, okay? Especially if these are supposed to be real animatronics that Fazbear Entertainment is sending to people's homes. And my building thinks that my power block or power bar is a fire hazard. It's so befuddling to me how these are actually supposed to be real animatronics, okay? That's horrific. And the skins are canon, as we see in Fury's Rage, which is surely just one of the Security Breach arcade games. And finally, in at number 1, Garvey.
A psychopathic, cold-blooded killer, he stopped being human long ago. That's how Garvey is described in the extras of Dormitibus, the FNAF fan game from which he hails. Garvey is the penultimate antagonist of Dormitibus. He later went on to get trapped in Spring Bonnie, becoming Springtrap, and then he was burned to a permanent death in the Fazbear Fright's fire. Garvey is a more gory version of Springtrap from FNAF 3. However, it is not William Afton, as this game was released before the name was revealed, and even before FNAF 4. Springtrap, but with hardly any exosuit or animatronic casing, whatever you want to call it, and this is him, okay? He crawls on all fours and uses his left hand as a foot and his left foot as a hand, like some demon monkey from hell that Satan didn't sanction the creation of. Like, just look at this thing and tell me that it shouldn't be on this list, okay? If you do, you'll be lying. I don't care if it's a fan game. This is the scariest version of William Afton we have ever gotten.
And it's at Foxy. Foxy doesn't have the best track record for jump scares. His FNAF 1 jump scare isn't scary, and he was on the worst jump scare list multiple times in part 2. However, Scott seems to have brought this back with FNAF Ultimate Custom Night, since Foxy actually gets really up in your face and just makes you shudder. I think that Foxy has the most versatile design, and Grim Foxy is one of my personal favorite animatronics. So I think that this is a good thing, because I want Foxy to be scarier. I don't want to experience the scare, because being scared is supposed to be a bad thing, but I respect those who enjoy the feeling, and I think that Foxy should be able to give them that feeling. And this jump scare does it. It's all about the setup, you know. And Nights at Freddy. We know FNAF 1 to be the catalyst of all my mental torment. I mean, of the Five Nights at Freddy series. Without this game, obviously, we wouldn't have gotten the others. But with that being said, there are still some damn good jump scares in this game. For example, Bonnie's FNAF 1 jump scare. That even resulted in Scott himself being terrified and having nightmares, making Bonnie in his mind the scariest animatronic. Which is probably why in Ultimate Custom Night, Bonnie didn't get a proper jump scare, only from Pirate's Cove. At least to my knowledge. I'm already bad enough at FNAF games, I don't need to play Ultimate Custom Night. Like, it won't end well, and I'll never actually beat it. But it also explains why in Sister Location, after the horror that is Nightmare Bonnie, we got a puppet version, and why in Security Breach we only get a cameo in the form of a bowling arena, at least as far as we know currently as this is being filmed. And it ain't Nightmare On. I've said in lists previous that the puppet's jump scare isn't scary, because you can expect it. If you even look at the proper camera, you'll be okay. However, Nightmare On from FNAF 4, the Nightmare version of the puppet, is a different story. It's a fearful reflection of what William Afton created. And you know what? That's horrific. This damn thing makes me understand people who fear dolls. Like, pediophobia makes sense to me now. Because if this is what puppets look like to you, I apologize for any jokes I've made about it before. Wait, hold on, sorry, that wasn't a proper YouTuber apology. Nah, I gotta work on that. I gotta have some more fake tears, right? And I have to say that I'm appalled by the person that I used to be. Joking aside, Nightmare On is actually a terrifying animatronic and has a terrifying jump scare, especially when you're in the night terror level in FNAF VR. Like, it's messed up. Why? Why did you have to add the tentacles? Why do I have to deal with tentacles? It just reminds me of the Reaper puppet. And if you know, you know. And it's 7 entered. I've said previously that the Ennard jump scare during his vent repair isn't scary, but by that I meant the scripted jump scare that occurs after you've completed the level. I also said that in the video, since you expect that jump scare after the first time, or if you've watched literally anyone play it. With that being said, however, nothing can compare to the other terror that you feel when you're trapped in an elevator having to focus on completing a puzzle while Ennard is watching you, waiting for a chance to make his move, and then teleporting around you at random. And then when he gets you, you just get scared shitless because you were just shaking in your boots for ages while you had to figure out how to get that last gear, and then boom. It's horrible, it's not okay, it's one of the reasons I don't play the Ennard vent repair. Actually, the main reason is like the button presses at the beginning, like, you know, that puzzle where you have to follow the wire. I'm probably horrible at those, especially under pressure, but like, I don't wanna confirm it. And at 6, Foxy. Like I said earlier, Foxy never really had the best rep with jump scares. I mean, his FNAF 1 jump scare was so mild that people thought he was trying to help you and killed you by accident, surprising you so much that you had a heart attack. But this man jumped at the opportunity to give the player a better jump scare in FNAF 2. This man will jump at you from the end of the hallway and absolutely make you destroy your shorts. And I respect that. That is an admirable use of your time. More useful than leaving hate comments on a YouTube video, that's for sure. Yeah, that's right, I'm looking at you. Yeah? You don't think that I noticed when you make a throwaway account because you know I'm on to you? Yeah, that's right, Mom. I'll send Foxy after you too. Halfway through to number 5, Ballora. Some believe Ballora to have been Chica's replacement in Sister Location. Not lore-wise, but gameplay-wise, to cut down on the amount of sultry, paltry fan art that was circulating Reddit. But making this dummy-thick robo was only the beginning of the terror, because much like a real woman, all Ballora wants to do is break your heart, by opening her face while you're crawling in the darkness. I don't know what it is about Ballora specifically, but when she opens her face, it is the creepiest out of all the jump scares in that game. Perhaps it's because she has human-like features and proportions, so seeing what's basically a human move their, I guess, flesh from their face at will is really unsettling. But no matter the reason, Ballora has one of the most unsettling jump scares and levels in the game. Having to crawl through her auditorium while listening to see when she's close, but you're not seeing it, you're hearing it, and if you get it wrong, then she jump scares you. And then there's the fact that she crawls like a spider. Damn it, I hate it with a passion. And not the kind of passion you'd be expecting when it comes to dummy thick Ballora. And at 4, Nightmares. The Nightmare animatronics were an overcorrection by Scott because the community wasn't satisfied with the Springtrap jump scare. FNAF 3 was actually meant to be the final game, but since Springtrap was kinda trash, we got the horrific monstrosities that are the Nightmare animatronics. Surely the inspiration for the Twisted ones, the Nightmare animatronics were some of the most horrific additions to the game world, even though they're not real, and in even an in-game sense. They actually are hallucinations caused by illusion sound discs that we learn about in the Twisted Ones novel, ironically, as confirmed by Nightmare Freddy and Ultimate Custom Night. But they still absolutely destroy my mind and make me clench my cheeks when they show up. Why are they here? Because we thought this isn't scary enough? Okay, I've learned my lesson now. Now, please, let me sleep for God's sakes. I see why you're scared of Bonnie Scott. I get it now. Please, let me sleep. Sky Daddy Scott. And at 3, VR. The VR animatronics are the normal animatronics that we know. Glitchtrap is the only real other character added by this game, and he doesn't get a jump scare, so what am I talking about specifically? It's plain and simple. Having the jump scares in your face on screen is one thing. Having them in your face in an environment that you can't really escape by looking away is much worse. The animatronics being in your face is some of the most horrific experiences that I've had with my Oculus headset, aside from playing The Forest in VR, but it's something else actually seeing these animatronics at such a scale and being so powerless to stop them. These things are huge if you keep yourself at the default height. They tower over you. I have to increase my size to something closer to mine for like motion sickness reasons. It just kind of makes my head spin. But even when these things are still taller than me, it makes me want to defecate in my shorts and then run away. Not cool. They're still taller than me, even when I make my height normal. And ultimately, in at number 2, Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy is probably the scariest jump scare from the first game, and probably from the second as well. The animatronic has no interior endoskeleton and is just confusing as to the lore, being able to move around at will, moving through doors and causing weird hallucinations like it's me and eyeless Bonnie. But what for? We still don't entirely know, and we have no confirmation as to whether any of our theories are right. It's pretty damn terrifying to think about. And not only that, but add the fact that they're the only animatronic in the game that causes a crash to desktop. It's like the jump scare deletes the coconut JPEG that was holding the game together. Why does it crash us? We still don't know, because honestly that's the first interaction between game and the real world, and then that becomes a thing later on in the series, and we just, it has a whole load of implications. And you know that since I just realized this now, this is going to be in the next Tiny Details video, because we know that that's going to get another part, even though nobody in the comments actually decides to help me, usually. Finally, in at number 1, Nightmare. You all knew this was coming. Speaking of another crash to desktop moment, Nightmare from FNAF 4. What is your deal? We know it's meant to represent death or William's wickedness coming for Crying Child, but why do Golden Freddy and Nightmare share this small detail? Why not Golden Freddy and Nightmare Fredbear, since that is the Golden Freddy in this game? Either way, this damn animatronic is the scariest one ever, hands down. This dude is death incarnate, and it's for a reason. Pitch black with a freaking bow tie and top hat. Look at those goddamn munchers too. Those teeth will tear me apart and make me cry for weeks before finally putting me out of my goddamn misery and crashing me to the desktop. The desktop of life. Seriously. I think we all knew that this was going to be number one, and this has been said like a million times by different people, different points in history. I don't know anymore. Nightmare is terrifying, and if you don't think that Nightmare is the scariest animatronic, who do you think deserved to be number one? Like, and no, it's not Springtrap, don't even. His jump scare isn't scary. It literally caused another game to be made so that we could actually be scared. And then they continued the series, which actually is probably the scariest thing of all.